Welcome to Your Hometown Solutions. I'm your host, Jean Newell, and we're here to talk about real estate. We cover everything from foreclosures to Feng Shui. In the studios with me today is my co-host, Jonathan Lack, who always wears three hats. It almost rhymes, Jonathan Lack wearing three hats. He is the owner-broker of Waterview Realty, and he's the owner of Waterview Title Services in Melbourne Beach, as well as, that's actually in Indian Atlantic, as well as owner of Lack & Lack Chartered Attorneys at Law, specializing in real estate.
Well, thanks
Did
for
I say
having
that
me.
correctly,
Yeah,
everything?
Good enough. Yes,
Good enough?
You got it covered.
Well,
and
yeah.
I want to wish you and everybody a Happy New Year.
Well, thank you. And everyone out there, we hope that you were safe over the weekend and you will continue to be listening to our show, because we have some great advice coming up if you're going to be in the market for shopping for a new home, whether it's nationwide or here in Florida. We want to make sure that you have good information. And, of course, state by state, things do change. But we have a lot of people coming into town in January, February, and March, and to the Space Coast area, which is on the east coast of Florida for the nationwide. And that is, we're just about even with Orlando in the center part of the Florida. We cover everything from Titusville down to Palm Bay, and we have other cities in between: Satellite Beach, Indian Atlantic, Melbourne Beach, Melbourne, Cocoa Beach. What have I forgotten?
Got to be careful. You're going to leave somebody out.
Oh, Merritt Island, yes. And a lot of people do not realize that Waterview Realty here on the Space Coast also has branch offices down in the South Florida area, which is the Pompano, Fort Lauderdale, Miami, West Palm. And we are actually going to be rolling out our Bridging the Map.
Yes, our new website. Hopefully you've all had a chance to visit it, and it is constantly being improved. The website for Waterview Realty is waterviewre.com, as in Waterview Real Estate, but waterviewre.com. And please check it out. I think you'll be impressed. And there's information for properties throughout the state of Florida, specializing on the east coast of Florida, all the way from Miami up through Titusville, along the east coast of Florida. So please check us out.
And in the studios with us is Carolyn Wolfe, our favorite mortgage planner. Well, you don't even say broker anymore because you plan these mortgages for people, but you're with Certified Mortgage Planners. And Carolyn, you have to be official. You have to give out your specific license number. So let's do that so we're official and we're legal.
Thank you, Jean. Happy to be here. My NMLS number is 268538, and I am with Certified Mortgage Planners.
And again, we always touch on this from time to time, but Carolyn is a mortgage broker planner as opposed to a banker. And there is a difference. Let's let everyone know, because we're going to talk about definitions of terms today, some funny little things. And a lot of people are confused between what a broker is and what a banker is.
Right. Okay. Thank you, Jean. Be happy to do that. As far as what we are licensed to do business in the state of Florida, and we have various different lenders and mortgage companies that allow us to provide their products to consumers. So what we do is we work on fitting the best product and the best lender for that particular borrower. So we have a bunch of different options, whereas because even in the lenders that we deal with, some have specific guidelines for certain things and others have different guidelines. So if they don't quite fit in that niche, we have different availability of different types of products and lenders that they can choose. Whereas if you go straight to a bank, they just have their guidelines. So sometimes you might think, oh, I'm going to go to my bank. I'm going to go to who I do business with. They're going to give me the best deal. They might not even be able to qualify you because you might not fit in their box.
Right.
And then you think you can't get a mortgage anywhere. And that's not necessarily the case.
Exactly. Well, banks and credit unions, they're really set up for your savings account, for your checking account, for maybe money markets and things like that. And they usually have loans and car loans and things as a convenience.
Right.
Carolyn, do you have a savings account with your company? Do they have checking accounts there?
No, all we do is home mortgages for
Okay,
consumers.
do you have savings account?
No.
Just what? Home mortgages?
Just home mortgages.
Okay, do you have any kind of... No, the point is you specifically handle mortgages.
Right.
And that's why you have a lot more options. You don't
Yes.
have anything else as a convenience. They can't go in there.
No cross-selling.
Nothing. It's only mortgages. So
Right.
why go to a steakhouse and order fish? That's what I always say. So we're going to have steak at the steakhouse. This is the mortgage planner of the future. This is what you have to really, because there's a lot more to getting a mortgage than it's filling out an application. And we've talked about this in past shows that we recommend you don't go online, because I know they spend a lot of money, some of these companies, telling you how easy it is, click, 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 and they're done. No, it's not like that. And you might be clicking and not getting what you should be answering the proper way.
Exactly.
So, Carolyn Wolfe, I'm going to give out your email, and we want to make sure that everyone has that. It's Carolyn, Carolyn, Carolyn at FloridaLendingPro.com. I like that because that basically describes you. You're a
Thank
Florida
you.
Lending Pro.
Yep.
FloridaLendingPro.com. Carolyn Wolfe, Certified Mortgage Planners. So we're going to talk about what people should be doing on mortgages, but we thought we'd make a little bit of a lighter show today and talk about definitions for words and how we confuse each other, especially because we'll be seeing a lot of the northern buyers coming down. They like to, look at real estate. I find that March and April seem to be the big months because people have been down here for a few months and they make that decision. Hey, before we go back home, let's buy our dream home, and then next year we can come into it and we're all set. But just like anything else, we have a communication problem. It seems like we pronounce words differently. We have different definitions, and this is something neither one of you, Jonathan or Carolyn, are aware of. But
Dun, dun, dun.
dun, da, 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 I heard this on a show recently. What do you call the white shoes that you wear? Are they sneakers or tennis shoes?
I go with sneakers.
I say tennis shoes.
See, there we go.
And where are you from?
Hawaii.
Okay.
There we go. Oh, we're
So
going
you
to
don't
have
call
a
them
whole
flops?
Well, we call flip-flop slippers.
Slippers.
flip-flops are.
See, we're getting off track
I
already.
know.
We
I
are.
mean,
Flip-flops.
what's the answer?
Well, there's no really correct answer. We're just-
Clearly,
so
sneakers.
I want to know who's right.
flip-flops. We used to call them in South Florida Zoris.
Yes, I've heard of the Zoris too. in Hawaii.
Zoris, and then there's another word for them.
I know my soccer playing friends and children and such call them slides, which I guess are different than flip flops because
They're the ones you
they're
say.
the ones
they
you
don't have
slide
the-
your feet into instead
Right.
of your toe goes between.
Right.
But
You could slide in between too.
Yeah, I'm a flip flop fan personally.
say that fast 3 times.
Yes.
Flip-flop fan. Oh, I can't even say it myself. So if you're standing outside a theater to buy tickets, are you in line or online?
In line.
Yeah, I'm going to go with inline as well.
Yes. There are people.
I buy my tickets online.
Yeah.
Yes, you
and
can
then
buy 'em
I
online.
stand in line to pick them up.
Correct.
I always say in line, but they showed an area map of the United States, and there's certain parts that say they're online instead of in line
Ah.
because it's
I
online.
did online to buy tickets.
Yeah.
Online
That-
to buy tickets.
In person, you wouldn't think that. Okay, here's the real challenging one: is it caramel or caramel?
I say caramel.
Yeah, I hate that one. I think I say caramel.
Caramel.
Yeah,
Is
I
it
think that's the one I
caramel,
go with.
caramel, or caramel? Yes, I know. That's one of those. Is it pecan, or pecan?
I say pecan.
You see, now you're
Or
making
sometimes
me
I
think.
say pecan.
You should have asked
It
me what the
depends.
nut was, and I would have said
Pecan.
pecans.
Pecan.
Pecan.
See, now I don't even know what
I
I say. Pecan, that's what I'm going with.
Depends on the day.
Well, which brings kind of an interesting story, and I'm hoping that you'll think of
Tomato,
something like this as
tomato.
well. When we first moved to South Florida, that was a mecca. Everyone came from various states. It wasn't like there was just 1 or 2 states. And my family's from the Midwest, and we have our own unique things that we say that I've tried to correct over the years. But I was in the 4th grade, and I came. My neighbors were from, I was always saying wash. I'm going to go wash my clothes. I had an R in there somehow. And my mother always said crick for creek. And so my friends in the back were from Georgia, and they were always fixing to go off. That was their favorite expression. But my fourth grade teacher was from Alabama, so we were making ceramics. And we were making ashtrays at the time, which tells you a little bit about our society. Even the kids were making ashtrays. So
it's funny. I know.
I know. I came home, and my mother wanted to show an interest in this ashtray. So she says, well, tell me, how did you make this? And I told her we had the clay, and then we put the paint on it, the glaze on it. And then my Alabama teacher was telling us the next step. So she says, then what did you do with it? My mother says, and I said, well, we put it in the oven and we fired it. She goes, you did what to it? I said, we fired it. She goes, how do you spell that? I said, I don't know. But my Alabama teacher was firing things, not firing things. So it's funny how you pick things up when you're in school, and that's the way you say it the rest of your life. So I was always fixing to go off to the creek, which was totally strange. So those are the kind of things we just thought was interesting, because when it comes to applying for a mortgage or looking for a home, believe it or not, people have different definitions in their head on what they're looking for. So it takes myself and Jonathan and the other professionals in real estate to try to figure out what they're talking about.
Right.
I used to have a seminar called How to Unlock Your Customer's Secret Language, and it was all about figuring out what their definition for. So for an example, Carolyn, what's a duplex?
A duplex is a building that is 2 units together combined.
Would it normally be single story?
I don't think so. It would be a 2-story normally.
See,
I'm going single story.
Yeah.
I'm going, again, here in Florida, for the most part, where I grew up in the South Florida area, we rarely had 2-story homes. Most of them, I think they call it ranch style. Mm-hmm. And most of the homes in the areas I grew up in were ranch style homes, which were 1 story. And if you had a 1-story home that had 2 entrances with 2, separate, a common wall between, that was a duplex. 2 families lived in 1 building, essentially, is how I would have viewed a duplex.
Yes, that's kind of the average expression in Florida is usually it's a single story with just 2. If there's 2 or more, then a 2-story that we call them a townhouse, because they're usually 2 stories. But a lot of people in the north, when you ask what a duplex is, it always means 2 stories and multiple families living there. So it doesn't necessarily mean 2 families. So right off the bat, if somebody comes in and says they want a duplex, we're going to be showing them something totally different. So the point is, especially other agents may be listening in, you want to find out, what do you mean by that? You want to make sure you understand what they're asking for. Because case in point, years ago, I had a person come in to the development I was working, and we had a lot of different types of living there. It was on a golf course and multiple builders and so forth. And they asked to see great rooms. Now, what is a great room in your mind, Carolyn?
A great big room. Or is it, I think it's more kind of like the living room entrance, or?
Again, I'm going to go with, I'll chime in and could be wrong as well. The sort of a family room, living room with the kitchen. I mean, the kitchen's not part of it, but maybe opens up into it so that it's sort of this centralized room in the home is how I think of it.
Usually the great rooms, if you have a great room home, it does not have a living room because you're using the
it's
one
family
room,
bedroom,
and
family
usually,
room, living room
yes,
combo.
It's a family room combo, and usually the kitchen is opened up into it, so it's a kind of a great room. So I spent, this is how I kind of came up with my theory years ago, is I had a client come in and ask to see great rooms. So I spent the next 3.5 hours showing her every single great room plan that we had. And every time she'd go, no, I don't like this house. And instead of asking her on the first one or second one, what is it about this house that you don't like, which I've learned to do now, I just continued to show her great rooms. And finally, after 3.5 hours, I thought I've run out of inventory, but I'm going to show her a typical split plan where you have the living room, the family room, and the split bedrooms, and tell her that this is a builder who can build you a great room. So I was just showing her a house, giving her an idea of what the quality would be. So we walk into the front door and we see the living room to the right, and then we go into the master bedroom to the right, and then we come back and go through the kitchen, and now we're into the family room. And as I'm getting ready to walk her into the other bedrooms, she stood there and she looked up to the ceiling. She goes, "Yes, this is a nice, great room."